was recording a video just talking about stuff, and I think I was getting into some interesting topics. And then at some point it quit recording. I don't know how long I was talking before I realized that it got cut off. Um, the points I was making is that when I try to figure out what's going on in this world, I'm always confronted from all angles by people of some sort of spiritual or religious perspective of what's going on. And I'm not sure what to make of that, honestly. Um, it seems like something going on here is perhaps like what the Gnostics speak of, uh, whether you want to call these things archons or the flyer's mind or demons or whatever right, or you want to say that it's aliens ruling the planet and they keep making us all slaves and all this, but it doesn't add up. It doesn't, because why would you shit where you eat? Why would you want to create a fucking world with so much suffering and misery? What the hell good is this dark energy? You know, and even if we were food or slaves or whatever we were being bred for, to be slaves or to be food or whatever, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because why then would they seek to create substandard product, so to speak? You know what I mean? Like, if you, let's say you're a rancher and you're raising food for you're raising cattle to feed your community and yourself, would you want them to be grass fed, or would you want to feed them a bunch of genetically modified organisms that make them sick? And would you pick the best cattle to breed in order to make a better end product, or would you pick the sickliest, gangliest looking, you know out of shape cows that can't even hardly walk? Like, what? You know what I mean? Or if you were a slaver, would you want the slaves to be stupid and weak, or would you want the ones that are strong and strapping and gonna be able to plow your field 10 times as fast as the sickly fat ones, or what? You know what I mean? So why? It seems like this whole place is just designed to sicken us, to corrupt us, to make us more sickly and ugly and weak and corrupt and dark and but why? Whether we're even if we were slaves or food, for that matter, it just doesn't make sense why they would want us to be suffering and sickly and all this other shit. Like, there's other things to consider as well. Like, I see humanity as having great potential if we weren't being constantly bombarded with lies, and if our food and our water and our air and everything wasn't being poisoned, if we weren't being constantly surrounded by fucking filth and everything, unnatural and wrong under the sun, we could be a fairly good species. We could be beautiful, man. The type of innovation that we could be capable of, the type of it just seems so. It doesn't add up, man. Like I don't care. Even if you fucking, even if we were just being tortured or something, it'd be like, wouldn't that get old? You know? I mean, imagine somebody in history or that you hate so fucking horrible, so much that you just want to like tear them to shreds, like most evil thing person you could possibly imagine. How long could you kick the crap out of them before it would get old? And you'd almost even start to feel bad for them, you know? Even if that was, even if we were here being just tortured in hell, or like at some point, you would think it would get old. You would think they would get bored with it and move the fuck on. You know what I mean? You would think their black heart would grow a little bit and they'd go, oh, I'm kind of starting to feel bad for these people, you know? Right? Even the Grinch that stole Christmas got started to feel guilty toward the end, and you know, like just it's so strange here, man. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add. I can't think of a fucking logical conclusion to draw out of what's happening in the world and how fucking dark and crazy and screwed up things are. The religious story of there being a war battle between good and evil and everything. It doesn't really add up, man, because you look at this place and it's clearly very one-sided. It appears to be a very one-sided situation here, you know. We're told that there's this loving, benevolent creator that loves us and wants the best for us and everything. That our great sin was that some thousands or millions of years ago, Adam and Eve ate some bad fruit off a tree that they weren't supposed to eat off of, and that they're, you know, well, there's a lot of freaking things I would take issue with that whole Adam and Eve story, honestly. Like, for one thing, how come there's so many different subspecies and different groups, so many vastly different types of people if we're all derived from the same two people? And if we're all derived from the same two people, then does that mean that we're all related and that every marriage is incestual? You know, etc. Right? Like, there's all kinds of things that are kind of twisted with that whole thing. But then the idea, imagine being so filled with hate that you would want to punish people for thousands of years for a crime that they themselves didn't commit because their 10,000th great grandpa pissed you off a million years ago or some shit, right? You know what I mean? That's pretty freaking. That's pretty dark. Seems pretty freaking dark to me. I don't know, the more I started, I still find myself praying to God because I feel like there's so much darkness in this world that we need fucking some great savior to rescue us from the fucking evil that is here. But at the same time, I can't really wrap my head around religious beliefs for the most part anymore because I've actually read the Bible numerous times and a lot of the most of the apocryphal texts and Dead Sea Scroll translations, and I've even read stuff like the Genza Rabbah, the Mandaean, translations of the Mandaean Book of John the Baptist, and super obscure shit, Nag Hammadi, on and on and on and on. I've read the freaking Divine Commander of Hermes and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and so on and so on and so forth. It's like there's so much obscure stuff, man. But I don't see where it's really sufficient to describe our situation here or how this shit makes any freaking sense to anyone, let alone even to say God himself or the devil or any, like, how the fuck would this shit make any sense? What would be the purpose in this shit? It's too ridiculous and petty and nonsensical, you know? And the fact that I can see how petty and nonsensical and ridiculous shit is from my position, like, I can't even imagine how an all powerful, omnipotent, all knowing being could not say, hey, maybe this is kind of fucking screwed up and cruel. Maybe we shouldn't make people go through that. You know? You'd think they would, if nothing else, you would think that they would get bored and just fucking leave. I think I'll try creating a world where everything isn't based on suffering and decay. We should try that for a change. Let's try creating a world that's not completely filled with fucking evil, horrendous, like nightmare fucking shit for a change. Maybe we could try creating a world where there's not war and disease and sick fucking perversion and poison and drugs, alcohol, all this other fucking toxic, horrible shit. Imagine that, right? Maybe try creating a world where I don't require everyone to bow and scrape and kiss my ass and worship me all the time. You know what I mean? Would that be so terrible? It just, if I can think of concepts like this as some lowly alcoholic going broke in a fucking motel room, then you would think that the all-knowing, all-powerful creator of the fucking universe could maybe outdo me in their terms of their way of thinking, and you know what I mean? That you would think they would be a little more fucking mature. It doesn't add up here, man. There's so much weird crap going on in this world, and it's almost like it's like we're in some kind of fucking video game world or something, where they just threw together all the most ridiculous science fiction crazy shit that they could possibly think of and just mixed it all together. And it's obscene and it's fucking ridiculous and terrible, basically. Like, I'm sick of playing fucking Twilight Zone. I just want to go play Farmville or something, you know? Sick of feeling like I'm in some weird fucking sci-fi horror movie. There, and it's so fucked up, man. I look at the way the world is now, and it's like, if I'm being honest, I hear people always constantly talking about this biblical apocalypse happening and it's the end of the world and all this, you know. Well, if this is what you want to make of this fucking world, then it's about goddamn time, you know. This place could have been a fucking paradise. It could be a paradise in the blink of an eye. If fucking all the forces of evil that are fucking this, you know, actively, constantly, steadily working hard to make this place a nightmare realm would just fuck off and die, then we'd be fucking fine, dude. Literally, like, I don't know, I guess that's a little harsh to say it that way, but basically, like, I see something that's so fucking on such a grandiose scale, how this world is being turned into an absolute fucking nightmare. And a big part of that, I gotta say, is because of all the jobs and all the labors that people put themselves through in order to gather money. We're selling our fucking souls and our children's futures for pieces of paper that we get in exchange for doing our part to make this world more of a fucking nightmare for everybody who has to live in it. You know? Basically. I mean, imagine how fucking evil, like, somebody, and how blind and black-hearted and wicked somebody has to be to own like 1,000 houses or something, right? And you go to the store driving your fucking limousine or something. You look around and you see people begging for change, living under a tarp or something in the parking lot, and you just look at those people and you know, like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. I can, in a sense, I can kind of get to some extent where people are coming from because the problems in this world are so fucking huge that even if you had $1 billion, there's only so much that you could do without ending up losing everything yourself. It's one of the first things to cross my mind when I fucking inherited what I did. I mean, my heart really does bleed for people that are out on the street, but I was sitting there knowing, and I'd give people money sometimes, and I'd always wonder, you know, it's not. I always feel like it's not enough, really. But I feel like I was just as scared. I didn't want to be in their position any sooner, so I wasn't even able to get myself a home with that money. To think that I could rescue all these people, I just didn't have it in me. Just I don't know. I think you could do a heck of a lot with billions, though. One of those people, man, they really could do a heck of a lot if they weren't. But there's never good guys in those positions. There's never good, really, truly good, benevolent, kind, loving people, and that have that much fucking wealth. Like, it just doesn't. It's like it's why there's this whole like fantasy and of the King Arthur, the benevolent king, the legend that goes down and throughout history for hundreds or thousands of years of Mirrodin Wilt and fucking or Merlin, and of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and all this. Because never in as far back as we're able to look in history has that ever been the case. There's always these tyrants in positions of power that have all the money and all the resources, and all the poor people around are always end up suffering under their fucking boot heels, man. It's just it's messed up. I don't even know what I'd do. I would try to help if I won the lottery or something. I'd try to help people, but I know there's only would only be so much I could do, really. Even with tens of millions or something, I would try to help people, but there'd only be so much I could really do. Every 50 people or 100 people might be able to help or something, there would always be millions more that I couldn't fucking do anything to help. It's just the problems are so fucking huge, and they just get bigger and bigger. Yeah, maybe I could buy a piece of land and set up a bunch of yurts and solar panels and you know make some big commune where good, decent, poor people can live for free or something. But there'd be so much. I would be up against so much pressure from people trying to fucking prevent that you try to do anything truly good and decent in the world, and you come up against so many forces that don't want to see that happen. I mean, literally, this is what I see. I see a world where if there weren't millions of people laboring away and selling their days and selling their hours for slips of paper, there's no way that the powers that be in this world could fucking maintain their power and maintain this fucking evil shit going on in the world if people didn't participate in it actively on a daily fucking basis. You know, like take alcohol for instance, right? How many fucking millions of people, hundreds of millions or billion people or something, have to be a part of that, spend it nearly every day for many, many years of their life participating in growing the grapes and refining the liquor and so on and so forth in order to just to poison millions more people so they can stuff their pockets full of paper and have a big house to live in, you know? You gotta pay the bills. You know? How many people, how much money is in producing and distributing all this fucking pornography and shit, you know? It's another thing. You know, there's all kinds of fucking horrible shit in the world that just wouldn't be there if there weren't millions and millions of people involved in producing, distributing, you know, like for pieces of paper, you know. Say money is the root of all evil. You cannot serve God and mammon, for you will love one or despise the other, you know. But you look at this world, man, and the reason I can't help but see that one of the main reason, and if not, I mean, you would think there would the good people with money could counteract the bad fucking shit going on in the world, right? You would think if there were as many good people that were fucking filthy rich that actually put their money into trying to really fucking help, then maybe something could get done about all this evil crap in the world. You would think. But it's the robber barons, it's the parasites, it's the wicked that always have all that wealth. You're rewarded with monetary gain for doing wickedness in this world, man, and that's the fact. It's fucking sad, though. And it doesn't really add up either. It seems so weird, you know? Because you would think that even a devil would take pity on people eventually. They would get sick of tormenting people. They would get bored. Maybe grow a conscience, you know? Right? Maybe they'd wake up one day and say, you know, this world could be a lot more fun to be in if it wasn't so, if I hadn't made it so horrible. Maybe I should do things to make it better instead of horrible, you know? Then I can fucking live in a better place, right? You know? A lot of times I feel like I just want to give up hope, you know? Because some part of me thinks that, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's this hope that we have that things are just going to magically get better. Is that what makes our life bearable, or is that what keeps things from ever getting better? Because we keep thinking that somebody else is going to come along and fix everything for us, and it never fucking happens, you know? The garden ain't going to plant itself. If you don't harvest the apples from the tree, they fall to the ground and rot. You know, no apple pie, you know? It's just, but to realize though that so much of the horrible stuff going on in the world is that way because there's so many people actively involved in fucking keeping things the way they are, making them worse. Alcohol's a perfect example. How many people, everybody knows that it's bad for you. Everybody knows that it has a negative impact on society. Everybody knows that it's unhealthy, that it's toxic, and yet millions or maybe hundreds of millions of people are involved in growing the grapes and growing the hops and the barley and the sugar cane and manufacturing, bottling, labeling, shipping, distributing, packaging, advertising, etc., etc. You know, and the same could be said of all the fucking horrible shit in the world. It's because a lot of people are hard at work serving the systems that create all these tools of our destruction. How could there ever be wars if nobody joins their armies? How could there ever be battleships if no one will build them? You know, this world could be a paradise. There's no reason, no legitimate fucking reason why anybody should have to starve or suffer and die or should have to be without a home. There's no reason why people should hunger or thirst in a world with so much fertile farmland. There's definitely something in control of this place with some obscene amounts of power and ability to control and manipulate people in mass. But it just all seems so ridiculous, so petty, so almost it's almost like a comedy in a way. The level of ridiculousness in this place. If I wasn't trapped here, having to deal with this shit, I could almost see how from an outside perspective it would almost be funny just to see people how blind people are. They can't even see what the fuck is going on in the world. You had some sort of dark black heart. You could almost see how you could look at this shit and just laugh. Because it's so fucking ridiculous,